Today I'm bringing you 5 different tips to DM for the Artificer at your table. Tip number 1 is make tools matter. We all know that Artificers are the tool specialists of D&D, so it's really important that we make those tools matter. I've recently discussed Halfling Hobby's blog post on tools, and it's a really cool blog post. I recommend you check it out. We'll have the link in the description down below. The main idea behind this post is that tool specialties also suggest that they have special knowledge. An example is if you have specialty in woodworking tools, it means you also have a special knowledge in wood. You likely know the difference between balsa and oak wood. Now, as a DM, you may not know that difference, but you can give your character their proficiency when it comes to working with wood. Maybe they need to burn down a building, and that they get to add their proficiency modifier to know the best way to go about doing that. So to simplify it, just take a look at your Artificer's tool specialties and think about what extra knowledge they would have to know to have those specialties, and just kind of keep it into consideration when it comes to your game. Tip number 2 is to encourage and enable crafting. So to encourage it, I recommend having some of your loot drops be potentially blueprints or some sort of creative item that can't be used yet, but with some creative crafting could be amazing. A nice way to handle this is if you could have a blueprint that they can get most of the items, but also requires one special item, like the core of a molten giant, for example. Now they have this promise of a really awesome item, but in order to get it, they have to go on an adventure to get the core of a molten giant. Now they're more motivated than ever to go to that next plot hook you're looking for. To enable it, you really want to give them downtime. You want to make it so that they can have time to craft. Whether this is what you do, like you give people a month at the end of an arc, or if you just mix it into rests, however you want to handle it, just make sure that they have time to craft. Tip number 3 is to let them use their crafting proactively. Now, there's an assumption in this. My assumption for my Artificers, if they are tinkers, is that they have, let's call it a components bag, but instead of for spells, they're using it to build tinkering objects. So for example, they might say, hey, I want to build a magnifying glass to magnify the sunlight to hit that special gem to open the door. Now you might be tempted to say, well, did you buy glass at your last city? And I think there is a viability to that, but me personally, I would just assume they have tinkering tools. So if they're wanting to build some little contraption, I'm going to assume that they have the basic components to do that. This is going to allow them to use crafting proactively and out of combat. Now they can use it to solve problems. Now they can get creative with it, and now they can feel like an actual artificer who's coming up with inventions to solve problems. Tip number 4 is to expand what intelligence can be used for. An example of this is maybe they are making an argument towards an NPC, and usually you would do a charisma persuasion roll, but consider doing an intelligence persuasion roll if it's a logic-based argument, and maybe that NPC responds to logic. That's a great time to do an intelligence-based persuasion check. Another example is lockpicking. So instead of being very dexterous with their lockpicks, maybe they just know this model of lock. Maybe they add their history bonus because they've worked with those locks before, and they know if you apply leverage in a specific way, they just snap right open. That's pretty cool. Sky's the limit here, but just keep flexible, keep your mind open to how we can use intelligence out of combat. Intelligence is one of the most unused out of combats, and we want to make it feel really, really impactful. Tip number 5 is that Artificers are versatile, and we want to help them in that goal. So maybe they're being a jack of all trades, but maybe they've specialized. Maybe they say they want to be a tank, or that they want to be a blaster, or they want to be a support. Now, Artificers can do any one of those things at a decent degree, but what you can do is pay attention to what they're trying to be, and then give them loot drops that can support that desire. Giving them buffs or extra spells, like if they want to be a tank, maybe give them Armor of Agathis. It's not going to be game breaking, it's just helping them feel the way they want to feel, which is really important for us to do as a DM. Hopefully these 5 tips gave you some ideas of how to make your Artificer feel awesome at your table, which is really what we're trying to do here. But what I want to hear from you guys is what your tips would be for Artificers specifically. What would make their life a lot of fun while at the table? Now, if you guys are interested in supporting the channel and getting some awesome benefits along the way, consider checking out our Patreon. But other than that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.